Hi everyone, and welcome to our first day of our journey with exploring the journey to the Manger by Paula Gooder, a new chapter in our life of our blog together. And it's really fitting that we start this journey today on December the 21st, 2020, because many of you may well know that today is also not only the winter solstice, but it's also the day we remember the Christmas star, because on this day something quite unusual is happening. What's happening is the stars of Jupiter, the planets, of Jupiter, Saturn, and in the background a star called Regulus are coming into alignment for the first time to the naked eye anyway, for nearly 800 years. And this is a pretty good idea of what actually the story of the Christmas star, the Bethlehem star, is all about. People have looked over the centuries at whether it's a comet or a meteor, but actually what seems to have happened is that these three planets have come together, and if you're out in the desert, then you would have actually seen them much more brightly, of course, than you would in our cities and towns. This is a picture of what things looked like about 15 hours ago from an observatory, and you can see them starting to come together. And maybe this whole idea then, not just of following the wise men or the Magi, but actually the story of adventure is really what this journey to the manger is all about. The story of the nativity scene is actually something very, very powerful, but it's so well known, and many of you will have noticed that we have our crib scenes, and you may have seen films, and you may have seen all manner of other things that bring things together. But actually we can become so familiar with the nativity in the Christmas story that it becomes something we just immediately put away again, especially in our modern age. But what the story we're going to share together over the coming weeks is trying to do, with the help of this lady Paula Gooder, is to not only uncover some of the deep truths behind it, but actually take us all on an adventure, I hope not just in terms of information, but also spiritually, as we journey deeper with Jesus and with God through the Christmas story. What would that look like? Well, let's begin with one of those stories that often when people open their Bibles and they look at the beginning, say, of Matthew's Gospel, or as they go through Luke's Gospel, they come across a long list of names. Now, we may not want to start any story like that. If we think about the opening pages of, say, Tolkien's The Hobbit or whatever, or Lord of the Rings, or of course Harry Potter. But Matthew's trying to tell us something when we look at these great genealogies, and it's about origins, and it's about where we come from. And this couple of weeks over the life of the blog, we're going to be looking more deeply into three of these genealogies: the story in Matthew's Gospel, the story in Luke, and the story in John's Gospel. More about those as we go on. But they offer two sides of the same coin of who Jesus is. Matthew and Luke looking at the humanity of Jesus, and then John looking at his divinity, that he comes from God before even creation and the universe came into being. So let's begin with Matthew's Gospel, because what's unique about Matthew and what he's trying to tell us is he begins with this character of Abraham, the person who, after the beginning of creation, and then you've got the stories of Noah, of course, and others, and then you get the great Tower of Babel, where God decides that actually this is not good for humanity to carry on its own, and God knocks the tower down. He raises up through a call in the wilderness to a gentleman called Abraham, way down in a place called Ur of the Chaldeans, which is roughly in southern Iraq. And he then makes this incredible journey all the way from southern Iraq, on the picture over here, all the way up to the north to the border of Syria, and then down into Israel, about 1,500 miles. But it wasn't just a physical journey, it was a spiritual journey. And so really the character of Abraham is a good place to start, as we think about this journey over the next month or so, as we look at the story of the Christmas Nativity together. So as we set out on this journey, are we going to just try and reinforce everything that we know? Do we have this wonderful image of what the Nativity should be, and then anything that challenges it may be difficult for us to cope with? Or are we open to the idea of adventure, not just to discovering new things, but actually of finding deeper depth to this wonderful and amazing story? It's been a real privilege to be looking at this and preparing it for today, and how it helps us to deepen our relationship not only with Scripture but indeed with God. So I hope you have a really great time as we share these blogs together, and may we all be adventurers, not just physically but in faith, star watchers, and also willing to follow the star himself. God bless everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.